Consisting of 14 chapters, the second arc of the series builds upon the world and characters introduced to readers in Romance Dawn. Eiichiro Oda weaves in new themes and characters to develop the ever-expansive and rich story of his series, delivering a short but impactful second arc with plenty to hook the audience to continue the journey of One Piece. Hello, my Nakamatachi, this is Joy Girl with a review of the second arc of Oda's great series, Orange Town. Orange Town picks up where the first arc left off as it follows Luffy with his first crewmate Zoro out at sea, having recently left the marine base, and the duo setting sight on the Grand Line. However, it soon becomes apparent that these two, though extremely powerful, are in desperate need of help. Their strength alone will not be enough to challenge the sea, and they realize that finding a navigator is a priority in order to reach the Grand Line. For Zoro at least. Carefree Luffy seems more interested in finding a cook and musician. And through a series of comical events, both Luffy and Zoro, albeit separately, reach Orange Town, an abandoned town ruled by fearsome pirates. And here, they meet two characters who will remain important to the series. The first and the more significant is Nami, a pirate thief with impressive knowledge and skills of weather and navigation. Oda introduces us to the first female main character, and there is definitely more than meets the eye, as he portrays her with a brilliant balance of nuance and mystery. She is a true femme fatale. Extremely self-aware, she uses her femininity to get what she wants and seemingly has no qualms about stealing from or tricking pirates. However, this is hinted to be the result of a richer backstory, and it is clear that she too has a moral compass when she goes to the extent of using her raw hands to extinguish a cannon that was aimed to fire at Luffy, whom only moments earlier she showed no hesitation in tricking. She is the first character that Oda shows as actually intelligent, and despite not possessing anywhere near the monstrous strength of the two Straw Hats, her ability to use her strengths, as well as weaknesses to her advantage, as a skill to gain the upper hand is very impressive and a refreshing style of combat, though not necessarily physical. Though she doesn't technically join the crew, by the end of the arc, Nami is a welcome addition to the series as she promises more drama and antics. The second character that we meet in this arc is Buggy the Clown, a legendary cannon-using pirate who has taken over the quaint village, serving as the villain for the arc, as Luffy, Zoro, and Nami, who temporarily joined forces with the Straw Hats after stealing Buggy's map to the Grand Line, have to overcome Buggy in order to return the village to the villagers who have fled in fear. Despite having a comical demeanor and not seeming very threatening, Buggy and his pirates are actually the first villains to injure and endanger Luffy and Zoro. And by early One Piece standards, Buggy is an interesting villain, not due to overwhelming strength or power. Actually, on my first watch of the anime, I had even considered him a weaker villain than, say, Captain Morgan. However, he seems more undefeatable due to him possessing a devil fruit power, the Bara Bara no Mi, which allows Buggy to split his body, thereby making him almost immune to any attacks as he can just avoid the impact. Buggy is the first character outside of Luffy to possess devil fruit abilities in One Piece, and so Oda further develops the audience's understanding of the world and offers insight into the difficulties our protagonists will have to overcome as they continue to face against more enemies who hold strange but useful powers. Indeed, one of the aims of Orange Town seems to be to keep the audience interested by introducing us to different types of characters to come and the idea of discovering other devil fruit abilities, which in my opinion is an aim this arc has achieved. Another aim of this arc is the clear expression of crucial themes that continue to accompany us in our journey still today. The first of which is fate. Luffy literally lands in Orange Town by chance after being dropped by a bird he had tried to catch to eat. Nami just happens to be running away from some of Buggy's men when Luffy falls, and she uses this opportune encounter to avoid capture. And whilst this is happening, Zoro meets some other men of Buggy's who are stranded at sea after being tricked by none other than Nami. And upon hearing of Nami's skills, Zoro muses to himself that she would make a great navigator prior to even laying eyes on her. Even Buggy is found to be a former crewmate of Shanks, and the meeting between him and Luffy is fated, as we will come to know in future arcs. Furthermore, the way Buggy acquired his Devil Fruit abilities is very similar to Luffy, both of whom consumed their respective fruits accidentally and whilst in the presence of Shanks. Whilst all of this could be pegged to coincidences or simple plot devices, and those similar meetings of fate were seen in Romance Dawn, this is actually explicitly articulated in Chapter 13 when Luffy says that he now knows why he landed in Orange Town. And that is to acquire the map to the Grand Line and meet the future Straw Hat Navigator. Whilst of course the carefree, unassuming Luffy doesn't quite express it as fate, from his words, the idea that Luffy has embarked on a journey of destiny begins to crystallize for readers. Another very important theme in Orange Town is treasure, but more specifically, what treasure means to different people. As a story about pirates and the arc that introduced us to Nami, it is fitting that treasure is a central theme. However, it is more interesting how this arc challenges the traditional notion of treasure, an idea which resonates for the remainder of the series and is clearly seen through the different characters within Orange Town. For Luffy, it is the Straw Hat that was entrusted to him by Shanks. His disinterest in materialistic treasures is established very early on in the arc when he rejects Nami's offer to team up after she explains that she is a thief who steals from pirates. For Choo Choo the dog, it is the pet shop that he and his owner had opened together and the memories it now holds since his owner's passing. For the mayor, it is the village itself, containing all the villagers and the village pride. Even Nami, who seemingly subscribes to the traditional idea of treasure, has deeper motives and goals than just gold and glitter. And whilst Buggy may laugh at all of this, believing treasure is simply just that, precious objects of material value, his ultimate defeat brings to light another idea articulated in this arc. One must be prepared to protect one's treasure, which means to risk one's own life. This was heartwarmingly shown by both Choo Choo and the village mayor, who showed determination even against heartless pirates in order to protect their treasures, a pride which Luffy took upon himself to uphold, thereby resulting in the battle against Buggy and his pirates. Aside from holding different notions of treasure, this conviction held by Luffy is what differentiates him from Buggy. The run-in with Buggy and his crew becomes a lesson and serves as a reminder and warning to Luffy that if he and the Straw Hats don't take their dreams seriously and maintain concrete ambitions, they will turn out like Buggy and his crew. A comical group who, despite already possessing the map to the Grand Line, remain wreaking havoc and fooling around in small villages in the East Blue. Like Luffy, Buggy harbors dreams but lacks the determination to follow it through. Similarly, one of Buggy's men, Kabaji, despite being a skilled swordsman with his own unique style, is contrasted to Zoro, who pours his all into becoming the strongest swordsman in the world, clearly shown when he stabs himself to make the fight against Kabaji more interesting. Which leads us to the fight scenes in Orange Town. A shonen manga wouldn't be complete without action, but One Piece is not your average shonen series. Fights can be comical and decided in unconventional ways, one of the best traits of One Piece in my opinion, and one definitely present in this arc. This fight between Kabaji and Zoro, who fought with a self-inflicted injury, is one of the most underrated badass moments of Zoro's, which suffers being buried under the plethora of future badass Zoro scenes. And Kabaji himself, as a unicycle riding swordsman, provided a very interesting fighting style. And of course, both Luffy and Buggy's Devil Fruit powers are clear examples of the unique battles that take place in One Piece. Other awesome moments in this arc include Zoro lifting a massive cage holding Luffy whilst injured, and Luffy's new Gomu Gomu techniques, such as the Gomu Gomu balloon, which involves Luffy inflating himself like a balloon to bounce off cannon attacks, which was equally funny as it was cool. A balance which Oda maintains throughout the rest of One Piece. Despite being comical and seemingly light, One Piece contains real heart and deep ideas, all of which are also present in this arc. Orange Town packs in key themes that provides deeper insight into our characters as well as the world that we have entered. And indeed, it seems the aim of this second arc is to maintain the audience's interest by delving deeper into the unique world that is One Piece. in which case I think this arc has definitely achieved its purpose. By the end of Orangetown, I was keen to continue my journey with the expanding Straw Hat crew and to meet future foes, all the whilst encountering themes and lessons that are being subtly injected into the story. Whilst it may not be the strongest or the most thrilling arc, Orangetown does a great job in fulfilling its purpose by providing readers with a greater understanding of the adventure we have embarked on by planting characters and ideas which are to be developed further in future arcs. Orangetown achieves all of this in a compact 14 chapters that upon each reread, I learn to appreciate more and more. This is Joy Girl, and I'll see you again soon.